Hello people, today we are going to study Church Going by Philip Larkin. So let's begin. Church Going. Once I am sure there is nothing going on, I step inside, letting the door thud shut. Another church, matting, seats and stone, and little books. A sprawling of flowers cut for Sunday, brownish now, some brass and stuff. Here the poet means that once I am sure there's nothing going on. Here the poet means that he's entering the church and he has made sure that there's no religious ceremony going on inside the church. I step inside, letting the door thud shut. He steps inside. He has no intention, no devotion in his inside of him, and he is not religious type, and he steps inside, enters the church, letting the door thud shut, and the door closes behind him. Another church, matting, seats and stone. He is describing church, that there is matting, seats and stone inside the church. The little books sprawling of flowers cut for Sunday. He's saying that there were little books inside the church. Little books were kept. Sprawling of flowers means flowers were kept. They were freshly cut for Sunday, and the sprawling, they were flowers were kept in an tidy way. Sprawling means बिखरे हुए, and they are not tidy and properly kept. Brownish now, they are now brownish. They are not fresh, they are brown, and it's been like days since the flowers were kept. Some brass and stuff, and he's describing the material, the things that were inside the church as a stuff. He's not at all serious about it. Up at the holy end, the small neat organ and a tense, musty, unignorable silence brewed God knows how long. Hatless, I take off my cycle clips in awkward reverence. Here the poet is saying that up at the holy end, a small neat organ. Here the poet is saying that he reached the holy end, at the end of the church where the deity is kept. He reached there, and a small neat organ. There is also an instrument kept over there. A tense, musty, unignorable silence. Here the poet is saying that there is a tense environment inside the church, and musty. The smell is not good. The environment is tense, and unignorable silence means the silence is unignorable. That whole environment, whole atmosphere is not pleasing to him. Brewed God knows how long. Hatless, I take off. Here the poet is saying only God knows how long this silence has been. Only God can tell. And hatless, I take off. He takes off his hat. My cycle clips in awkward reverence. He takes off his cycle clips, which keeps the trousers tight while cycling. He takes out his cycle clips and removes his hat as the respect. He shows his respect to the church, but he is not at all devotional and religious. Move forward, run my hand around the font. From where I stand, the roof looks almost new, cleaned or restored. Someone would know, I don't. Mounting the lectern, I peruse a few, hectoring large scale verses and pronounce here endeth much more loudly than I'd meant. Here the poet wants to say that move forward, run my hand around the font. He moves forward and runs, touches the font from the utensil and thing that from which the baptism, the practice in Christianity, that is done. And he moves his hand around the font. From where I stand, the roof looks almost new. He says that from where he stands, he looks up and sees that there is some mending, and the roof looks new. It is the mending has been done very freshly and clean or restored. Someone would know, I don't. He's saying that clean or restored, but he does not know that when did this happen. He doesn't know. Someone other would know. He's saying that mounting the lectern, I peruse a few. He stands at the lectern from where the verses are spoken. He stands there and speaks some verses from the Bible, hectoring large verses and pronouns. He speaks large verses loudly, and here endeth much more loudly than I meant. And at the end, he speaks the verse more bit loudly from usual tone. He speaks in a more louder tone, and he feels awkward about it, and he's exploring the church like it is a museum, and everything seems not so good to him, and he wants tries to be religious, but he's feeling awkward too. Here endeth much more loudly than I'd meant. The echoes snigger briefly back at the door. I sign the book, donate an Irish sixpence, reflect the place was not worth stopping for. Here the poet is saying that the echoes snigger briefly back at the door. He's saying that there is so much echo inside the church. The sound is making him mock. He's thinking like the echo which is inside the church is mocking him, making fun of him. Back at the door, I signed the book. He signed the book when he left. He signed the book as the ritual that he visited the church, donated an Irish sixpence. He donated an Irish coin as the respect, and these are the rituals which are done in the church and reflect the place was not worth stopping for. Although he went church and he did everything whatever he did, I told you before, and but at the end he's thinking that the church is not the place to visit, and it was not worth it to go and visit and spend time over there. Yet stop I did, in fact I often do, and always end much at loss like this, wondering what to look for, wondering too. When churches fall completely out of use, what we shall turn them into? If we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on show, their parchment plate and pigs in locked cases, and let the rest rent free to rain and sheep, shall we avoid them as unlucky places? Here the poet is saying that he often stops at the church, and he often visits church and always end much at loss like this, and he often feels like confused why he visits church and what he gains from it. He is often confused about it, wondering what to look for, wondering too. He wonders what to look, what to search there, what he gets from there. He wonders and thinks what is the purpose. When church fall completely out of use, what shall we turn them into? He thinks that when church will fall completely out of use, when there will be no use of church, what we will turn them into, what the church will be turned into. And if we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on the show, and we will keep them for the showcase and like museum type, and we will keep them their materials and their things like in the museum, their parchment plate pigs in locked cases. We will keep these books, plates, vessels, and the sacred materials in the museum, and let the rest rent free to rain and sheep, and the rest things which are there, let them rent. We will give those things rent free to people for human use, and for sheep, and to rain, to make it like use it. And shall we avoid them as unlucky places? And will the churches will be avoided like unlucky places? Those places are not good to visit, and those places are unlucky for human existence. Or after dark, will dubious women come to make their children touch a particular stone, pick simples for a Cancer or some advised night see walking a dead one. Power of some sort or other will go on in games, in riddles, seemingly at random, but a superstition like belief must die, and what remains when disbelief has gone? Grass, weedy pavement, brambles, buttress, sky. Here the poet is saying that, or after dark will dubious women come to make their children touch a particular stone. Here the poet is saying that will some superstitious woman will come to make their children touch a particular stone, so that they can get luck from there, or some sort of any superstition will be there to touch a particular stone at the church that will make their life better, and they believe in some sort of other things, maybe not god but superstition. Pick symbols for Cancer or some advice night see walking a dead one. Here the poet is saying that some people will come to pick samples, some grass herb for cancer treatment, and some other sort of disease treatment, and some other people will come to see the dead one walking. They can get the belief that they will able to see the ghostly appearance over there, and they will come and visit the church to see the dead person. Power of some sort or other will go on in games, and some people will come there for games in riddles and seemingly at random, but superstition like disbelief must die. And here the poet is saying that the belief is dying, after some time the superstition and disbelief, all of this superstition and the random thoughts about the church, these things will also die and vanish. And what will left after that? What remains when disbelief has gone? When the people will remove the belief from the god and churches, and they will believe in superstition, and superstition will be removed, and after that they will have the disbelief. And after the escapism of the disbelief, what will be left? The speaker is saying the grass, the weedy pavement, the weeds, the grass, the herbs, the pavement, the brambles, the decay material, and the church itself, the decayed church, and the sky will be left. A shape less recognizable, each week a purpose more obscure. I wonder who will be the last, the very last to seek this place for what it was, one of the crew that tap and jot and know what rude lofts were. Some ruined Bibles, randy for antique, or Christmas a day counting on a whiff of gown and bands and organ pipes and myrrh, or will he be my representative? Here the poet is saying that the church is becoming more less familiar and meaningful. The people are not able to not being able to recognize it as a religious place, and the purpose of church like religious and worship is becoming obscure and unclear. I wonder who will be the last, the very last to seek. He is wondering who will be the last person to know the real meaning of church, that it is used for worship and religious purpose. He is wondering who will be the very last person to know the real meaning of church, this place for what it was, one of the crew. And he's saying that who will be the last person who will be able to recognize it as the place for what it is meant for worship. And he's saying one of the crew he's saying that who will be the last person, he will be able to recognize it as the clergy, the believers who had set up the church for the purpose of worship, that tap and jot and what rude lofts were. He's saying that the tap and jot, the records which were kept in the church, and the architectural features. Rudloff means the architectural features. Who will be the last person who will able to know all of these facts? Some ruins Bible, randy for antique. Some will come here to watch the ruins of the church and historical monuments. Someone who is eager and he fond of historical things and the ruins and decayed things, monuments. He will come for historical things over there. And or Christmas addict counting on a whiff, and some will come on Christmas occasion, on special occasion, to visit a religious place on occasionally of gown and bands, organ pipes and myrrh. Here the poet is saying that some will come to watch the gown and bands, the robes which are worn in the church, and organ pipes, the church music, the music which is played inside the church, and myrrh, the incense which is lit up in the church. Or will he be my representative? Here the poet is saying that will he be his representative, like he's searching for the answers, and he's confused, and he is very thoughtful, and he's not a believer of religious things, but he visits church oftenly, and he's confused, awkward, but he shows respect towards the church. He be his representative? He's thinking about it. Bored, uninformed, knowing the ghostly silt dispersed, yet tending to this cross of ground through suburb scrub, because it held unsplit so long and equably. What sense is found only in separation, marriage and birth and death, and thoughts of these of whom was built this special shell? For though I have no idea what this accoutred Frautsea barn is worth, it pleases me to stand in silence here. The poet is saying that he is bored, he is not knowledgeable, he is uninformed about the all of the knowledge about church, knowing the ghostly silt. He knows about that they are about old beliefs and old superstition talks. He knows about it, and dispersed yet tending to this cross of ground. Though the people are dispersed, they are scattered, they don't know much about it, yet they cross this ground, they come to visit church often, and though suburb scrub because it held unsplit, though they cross the modern cities and towns to visit the church, and because the things, the value that church hold is pure and undivided, so long and equably. What sense is found only in separation, marriage and birth? From since very long the tradition is followed, and now the church is used only for marriage and for birth. The people visit church for marriage, and when the child is born, they visit the church when the child is born, and death, and the occasion like death, marriage, birth, only these in these occasions the church is visited. And thoughts of these for whom was built, and these thought for what purpose the church was built is now erasing, and it is removing from the history this special shell. For though I have no idea, he has no idea what this special shell is. This special shell is named for the church. He is naming church as this special shell, and he has no idea what the purpose of this church is, what this accoutred frosty barn is. He's saying that accoutred means, he's saying that decorated. He's saying that the church is decorated, and very old building which is decorated. He's unsure of what the worth of this old decorated building is. It pleases me to stand in silence here. He's saying that though he has no idea about anything, but he finds peace, calm, comfort over there. He wants to stand there in that silence. He's finding satisfaction over there. He wants to stand there quietly and be there. A serious house on serious earth it is, in whose blent air all our compulsions meet, are recognized and robbed as destinies, and that much never can be obsolete, since someone will forever be surprising a hunger in himself to be more serious and gravitating with it to this ground which he once heard was proper to grow wise in, if only that so many dead lie around. Here the poet means that a serious house on serious earth. Here the serious house he is denoting, and he is naming church as a serious house. He is telling the importance of the church by naming it as serious house on serious earth. On serious earth, by naming serious earth, he is saying trying to say that here the things like life and death happen, and various serious emotions and serious rituals happen which are inevitable, and that's why he's naming the earth as serious earth, in whose blend air all our compulsions meet, and by entering church, by uh, breathing that air, all our compulsion mean our feelings which are love, betrayal, honesty, and all those feelings meet over there in the inside the church. Our fear, our guilt, our hope meet inside the church in that air, are recognized and robbed as destinies, and these feelings, these thoughts, these hopes, and these wishes are recognized inside the church, and they are listened, recognized, acknowledged inside the church, and destinies are made inside the church, and that much never can be obsolete. And here the poet is saying that these feelings, these thoughts, and these emotions are cannot be uh, outdated, and this will be recognized and acknowledged till the time immemorial, since someone will forever be surprising, and someone will come into the wise being, and someone will also visit church whenever he feels like he is becoming wiser, and he wants the help of church. The sudden realization and deeper thoughts will bring him to church, a hunger in himself to be more serious. When he will become more serious, when he will be hungry of more seriousness in his life, he will be gravitating with it towards the ground. He will be naturally pulled towards the church, and he will visit church to become to know the deeper meaning of life. He will visit there, which he once heard was proper to grow wise in, which he once heard when to grow more wiser and more serious, and need for the more purpose in life. He will visit church, and he will gain wisdom when he will visit church, if only that so many dead lie around. And here the poet is saying that not anything will make him more serious than there will be so many graves around the church. Seeing those mortality, those graves, the poet will be, and the person will be more serious about life. These things will make him more serious about life. That's why he's saying that this serious house, the church, and the serious earth where life and death, mortality, and fertility, and these things like this happen. So guys, this was it, and this was the summary of Church Going by Philip Larkin. Thank you for listening till the very end, and please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.